I'm Callista Vance, 52, and I built a multi-million-dollar real estate firm while raising a son who I thought shared my blood and my grit. I am sitting in a velvet chair at my private bank, the air conditioning humming a low, clinical drone that makes the hair on my arms stand up. The gold-plated pen in my hand feels unnervingly heavy. It is cool to the touch, a contrast to the heat radiating from my son Julian, who stands directly behind me. His hand is a weight on my shoulder. It isn't the hand of a son offering support. It is the hand of a captor ensuring his prisoner doesn't bolt. I look down at the transition papers spread across the mahogany desk. These documents represent 30 years of sleepless nights, cutthroat negotiations, and every ounce of my soul. If I sign the Vance estate, the houses, the land, the liquid assets, all flows into his name. Julian leans in, his breath smelling faintly of expensive espresso and something sharp like copper. "Just sign it, Mom," he whispers. His voice is a low, practiced purr. "You've worked hard enough, it's time to let go." I catch his reflection in the polished surface of the desk. The glint in his eyes makes my stomach churn. It is a predatory spark, a hunger I used to mistake for the Vance family fire. When he was 10, I saw that look when he won his first trophy. Now I see it as he prepares to hollow out my life. My heart hammers a frantic, uneven rhythm against my ribs. It feels like a trapped bird trying to break through bone. My fingers tremble, the nib of the pen hovering just millimeters above the signature line. I feel the sweat slicking my palms. I glance up at Mr. Sterling, the bank clerk who has handled my accounts for 2 decades. He is unusually silent. He isn't looking at the papers. He is looking at me, his eyes wide and fixed, signaling something I can't yet decipher. He looks pale, his mouth a thin, tight line. He knows something. I can feel the tension in the room stretching like a wire about to snap. Julian's grip on my shoulder tightens. His thumb presses into my collarbone, a subtle warning. He isn't waiting for me to retire. He isn't waiting for me to take a long overdue vacation to the coast. He is waiting for me to disappear. I am no longer a mother to him. I am a hurdle. I am the final obstacle between him and a fortune he hasn't earned. The realization hits me like a physical blow to the chest, knocking the air from my lungs. I look at the pen, then at the man I raised, and I realize I am sitting in a room with a stranger who shares my DNA but none of my heart. The silence in the office is deafening. I can hear the ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner, every second sounding like a hammer on a nail. My vision blurs for a moment. I think of the nights I worked until dawn to ensure he had the best of everything. I think of the pride I felt when he graduated, thinking I had built a legacy for a king. But I didn't build a kingdom for a king. I built an empire for a scavenger. I look at Mr. Sterling again. He clears his throat, a sharp, intentional sound that breaks the spell Julian is trying to weave. He slides a small, yellow sticky note toward me under the guise of pointing out a clause. My eyes dart to the paper. My breath hitches. I don't sign. I can't sign. I feel the cold realization wash over me, turning my blood to ice. I am Callista Vance, and I am currently being hunted by my own son in the middle of a brightly lit bank. I pull my shoulder away from his touch. The movement is small, but it feels like a declaration of war. I see his jaw tighten in the reflection. He knows I've felt the shift. The mask is slipping, and the monster underneath is starting to show its teeth. I grip the pen so hard the metal bites into my skin. I am not going to be his victim. I am the woman who built this city, and I will not be dismantled by the boy I carried. My pulse thunders in my ears, a deafening roar that drowns out his false comforts. I need to move, I need to think, I need to survive the next 10 minutes. I'm Callista Vance, 52, and I built a multi-million-dollar real estate firm while raising a son who I thought shared my blood and my grit. The vibration of Julian's phone against his thigh is a violent intrusion into the silence. He lets out a sharp, irritated huff that fans against the back of my neck. I feel his hand lift from my shoulder, and for a second the pressure vanishes, leaving a cold void where his palm had been. He doesn't say a word to me. He just turns on his heel, his expensive Italian leather shoes clicking aggressively against the marble floor as he retreats toward the far corner of the private suite. I hear his voice drop into a jagged, low frequency. He is arguing with someone. It isn't a business negotiation. It is a desperate, hushed conflict. I hear fragments, words like timeline and liquidity, tossed around like weapons. His back is to me, his shoulders hunched, his posture radiating a frantic energy I've never seen in him before. He looks like a man standing on a crumbling ledge, and I am the only thing he can grab to save himself. That is when Martha moves. Martha has been my personal teller and account manager for 30 years. She was there when I opened my first business account with $300 and a prayer. She is usually the picture of professional composure, her silver hair perfectly coiffed, her silk blouses pressed to a razor edge. But as she approaches the mahogany desk now, she looks like she hasn't slept in a week. Her eyes are bloodshot, darting toward Julian's, retreating back with a look of pure, unadulterated terror. She carries a heavy manila folder, her knuckles white as she grips the edges. She doesn't place it down, she drops it. The folder hits the desk with a loud, hollow thud that echoes like a gunshot in the sterile room. I flinch, my heart leaping into my throat. The sound doesn't faze Julian, he is too deep in his own whispered war across the room. Martha leans over the desk, her face coming inches from mine. I can smell the sharp, artificial sting of peppermint on her breath, an obvious attempt to mask the scent of stress. Underneath the mint, I catch the metallic, sour tang of adrenaline. Her hands are shaking so violently that the papers inside the folder rattle. "Callista," she breathes. Her voice is a ghost, a thread of sound so thin I almost miss it. "Listen to me." I stare at her, my fingers still clutching the gold-plated pen. "Martha, what is? Don't speak." She cuts me off, her eyes wide and frantic. She leans closer, her shadow falling over the transition papers that would give Julian everything. "He was here yesterday while you were at your physical. He came in with a set of documents I've never seen. He tried to force my hand, Callista. He tried to gain immediate access to your medical directives and your irrevocable power of attorney." The world tilts. I feel the floor beneath my velvet chair liquefy. "My medical directives? I am 52 years old and in the best shape of my life. I have no chronic illnesses. I have no reason to even think about end-of-life care for another 30 years. My mind races, trying to find a logical explanation, but there is none. There is only the cold, hard fact of his betrayal. "He told me you were failing," Martha whispers, her voice trembling with a mix of rage and pity. "He told the board you were losing your grip on reality. He wanted to know exactly how much power he'd have if you were declared unfit." The word unfit hits me like a physical blow to the solar plexus. I feel the air vanish from the room. My lungs tight, the oxygen turning to lead. I try to draw a breath, but my chest won't expand. I feel the blood drain from my face in a cold, rushing wave. My skin turns clammy, a slick film of sweat coating my forehead as the clinical hum of the air conditioning suddenly sounds like a screaming siren. Martha's eyes are fixed on mine, pleading. She reaches out with a trembling hand and slides a small, yellow sticky note across the mahogany surface. She moves it slowly, hiding it beneath the signature line of the transition papers. I look down, my vision blurring. The handwriting is frantic, scrawled in black ink that has bled into the paper. It says only 7 words. He isn't who you think he is. I stare at the note until the words burn into my retinas. I feel a sickening heat rising from my gut, a mixture of bile and fury. I look at the man in the corner, the boy I rocked to sleep, the son I shielded from every storm, the heir I spent my entire life grooming. He is still on the phone, his face contorted in a sneer of pure greed. He looks like a stranger. He looks like a monster wearing my son's skin. He isn't waiting for my retirement. He is orchestrating my erasure. The realization is a jagged blade twisting in my heart. He didn't want the company to carry on my legacy. He wanted the company so he could bury me under it. My skin feels too tight for my body. I can feel my pulse thundering in my fingertips, a rhythmic drumming that matches the ticking of the clock on the wall. I look back at the note. He isn't who you think he is. I think of the small inconsistencies over the last year. The accidental missed doctor's appointments he scheduled for me. The way he started talking over me in board meetings, subtly suggesting I was tired or confused. The way he insisted on helping me with my medication when I had a simple flu. It wasn't love, it was a rehearsal. He was practicing for the day he would finally turn the key and lock me away in a gilded cage of his own making. I look at Martha. She gives a single, microscopic nod. She has risked her career, perhaps more, to give me this warning. I feel a cold, iron resolve settle over me. The panic is still there, clawing at the edges of my mind, but it is being drowned out by a predatory instinct I haven't used in years. I am Callista Vance. I built this empire with blood, sweat, and a refusal to ever be a victim. I look at the signature line. The ink on the pen is dry. I won't be signing these papers. Not now, not ever. I hear Julian's footsteps approaching. He's finished his call. I feel the air pressure change as he steps back into my personal space, his shadow falling over me like a shroud. "Sorry about that, Mom," he says, his voice returning to that smooth, practiced purr. He reaches out, his hand hovering near my shoulder. "Just some drama with the London acquisitions. Now where were we? Ah, the signature. Let's get this finished so we can go to lunch." I don't look up. I don't move. I just stare at the note hidden beneath the document. My heart is a war drum. My blood is ice. I am sitting in a room with my executioner, and for the first time in his life, he has no idea who he is dealing with. I am not the mother he thinks I am, and he is about to find out exactly what happens when you try to steal from a queen. I'm Callista Vance, 52, and I built a multi-million-dollar real estate firm while raising a son who I thought shared my blood and my grit. I stare at the gold-plated pen in my hand. The weight of it feels different now. It is heavy, cold, and dangerously sharp. My mind drifts back to 6 months ago. I remember the pride swelling in my chest when I authorized the $3 million wire transfer. Julian had sat in my office, leaning forward with a charismatic spark I've always admired. He showed me digital brochures for Aegis Tech. He spoke of disruptive algorithms and neural link interfaces. I was so blinded by a mother's hope that I didn't ask to see a physical lease. I went to the address last week. I drove myself to the industrial district while Julian was supposedly at a tech conference in San Jose. There was no glass tower. There were no humming servers or engineers in white coats. There was only a crumbling, windowless warehouse with a rusted chain link fence. A for-lease sign had been sun-bleached into a ghostly white. The $3 million didn't go into a company. It evaporated into a ghost. My son didn't build a startup, he built a furnace and burned my money in it. The realization is a sickening, oily weight in my gut. I feel a sudden, sharp pang in my temples. I think about the fog that has settled over my brain for the last 3 months. Julian insisted I switch to a new doctor, a man named Dr. Eris Thorne. He told me my regular physician was losing his edge. I haven't even met Thorne in person. He's just a voice on the phone and a signature on the pill bottles Julian brings me every night. Just your vitamins, Mom, he always says. Just something to help with the stress. I remember the way the world tilts after I take those small, blue tablets. My thoughts turn to lead. My memory becomes a sieve. I thought I was slipping into early onset dementia. I thought my mind was finally breaking under the weight of the empire I built. But as I look at the pen, the fog clears for a terrifying second. I'm not sick, I'm being drugged. He has been systematically eroding my mind so I wouldn't notice the gaps in the ledgers. He has been poisoning me into compliance. My stomach churns with a cold, visceral dread. My skin feels clammy against the silk of my blouse. I remember the accident at the top of the stairs last Tuesday. I remember the way my heel caught on the Persian runner. I remember the terrifying sensation of gravity pulling at my spine as I tilted toward the 20-foot drop into the marble foyer. Julian caught me. His grip was tight, bruisingly tight. He whispered how frail I was getting. I see the truth now. The rug hadn't slipped. The heavy decorative weights that usually held it in place had been moved. I remember the smell of gas in the kitchen the night before, a burner left clicking but unlit. I remember the way the floorboards in the hallway seemed suddenly slick with a substance I couldn't identify. He wasn't catching me, he was practicing. He was setting the stage for a tragic fall that everyone would attribute to my failing health. I look at the signature line on the document. The ink is dark, like a deep, open vein. This pen was supposed to be a tool for my legacy. It is the same pen I used to sign the contracts for Vance Plaza. It was meant to build. Now I see it for what it truly is in Julian's eyes. It is a dagger. He has placed it in my hand and is guiding my fingers to the hilt. He wants me to drive it into my own heart. He wants me to sign away my power, my money, and my legal autonomy before he finally lets me fall down those stairs. I feel a primal, guttural rage rising from the depths of my soul. It burns through the sedative haze. It sharpens my vision until the edges of the room are razor bright. I can hear the frantic thud of my heart, a rhythmic war drum against my ribs. I can feel the vibration of the air conditioning against my skin. I am Callista Vance. I did not survive the cutthroat world of New York real estate to be dismantled by the boy I carried in my own body. I look at the pen. My knuckles are white. My hand is no longer shaking from the drugs. It is vibrating with the force of my fury. He thinks I am a broken woman. He thinks I am a confused mother looking for a way out. He is standing behind me, his shadow falling over the paper like a shroud. I can hear his breathing, shallow, expectant, greedy. He is waiting for the scratch of the nib against the paper. He is waiting for the sound of my surrender. I won't give it to him. The pen isn't a tool for my destruction. It is the first weapon I will use to take him down. I feel a cold, iron resolve settle over me. The unfit woman he tried to create is gone. In her place is the woman who built this city stone by stone. I look at the signature line. I see the trap. And for the first time in months, my mind is perfectly, dangerously clear. I am not his victim. I am his reckoning. I'm Callista Vance, 52, and I built a multi-million-dollar real estate firm from the dirt up while raising a son who I thought shared my blood and my grit. Julian's hand drops onto my shoulder. The weight of it feels like a lead shackle. I can smell the expensive sandalwood of his cologne, a scent I used to associate with his success, but now it smells like a funeral shroud. Mom, he prompts. His voice is a smooth, oily caress. The pen, Martha is waiting. I look at Martha. Her eyes are wide and pleading. I drop the gold-plated pen onto the desk. It clatters against the mahogany, the sound echoing like a gunshot in the silent office. I press my palms against my temples and let out a low, shaky breath. I can't, I whisper. I make sure there is a fake tremor in my voice. The lights, Julian, the lights are starting to flicker. He freezes. I look up at him, squinting as if the soft, ambient lighting of the bank is a blinding spotlight. My vision, I moan. I lean back into the chair. It's the aura. The migraine is coming on. I can't see the lines on the paper. Everything is swimming. I see the flash of irritation behind his eyes before he masks it with a look of practiced concern. It is a flicker of pure, unadulterated greed that he can't quite suppress. He doesn't ask if I need a doctor. He doesn't offer me water. He just wants the signature, and I am a broken tool in his way. It's okay, Mom, he says. His voice is tight, vibrating with suppressed rage. We can do this at home. Let's get you to the car. He grips my elbow to pull me up. His fingers dig into my flesh, bruising the skin beneath my silk sleeve. I stumble intentionally, playing the role of the frail, breaking woman he wants me to be. Martha watches us walk out. Her face is a mask of professional neutrality, but I see her knuckles are white against her desk. She knows I am walking into a trap. The air outside is humid and thick. Every step toward the black Mercedes feels like a march toward a cage. Julian opens the door for me. He doesn't look at me. He looks at his watch. He is calculating the time he is losing. He is calculating how much longer he has to pretend to love me. I slide into the passenger seat. The leather is cold. The interior of the car smells like him, that suffocating, expensive musk that now makes my lungs feel like they are filling with ash. He slams the driver's side door. The sound vibrates through my teeth. He pulls out of the parking lot with a violent jerk of the steering wheel. The tires screech against the asphalt. I sit perfectly still. My hands are folded in my lap. I watch him in the periphery of my vision. His jaw is set so tight I can see the muscle jumping in his cheek. His hands are at 10 and 2, his knuckles white. Tap, tap, tap. His right index finger begins a rhythmic, aggressive drumming against the leather-wrapped wheel. I feel a shiver of pure, primal fear crawl up my spine. It is a cold needle of ice. This is the boy I carried. This is the toddler I rocked to sleep when he had nightmares about the dark. Now he is the dark. I look at the sharp line of his profile. I see the nose I always thought looked like mine. I see the brow that used to furrow when he was concentrating on his homework. I don't see my son anymore. I see a predator. I see a man who has looked at my life's work and decided it would look better on him. I see a man who has looked at my life and decided I have reached my expiration date. He glances at me. His eyes are cold, flat discs. There is no love there. There isn't even pity. There is only the cold, hard calculation of a shark circling a bleeding whale. You need to rest, Mom, he says. The words are a threat disguised as a suggestion. Once we get those papers signed, you won't have to worry about anything anymore. I'll take care of it all. The way he says take care of it all makes my stomach flip. I can feel the bile rising in my throat. I realize I am trapped in a 60-mile-per-hour coffin with my own executioner. The AC is blasting, but I am sweating. The air is thin. I feel like I am suffocating. I look out the window at the passing trees. They are blurred streaks of green and brown. I wonder if this is the last time I will see them. I wonder if he has a plan for tonight. I think of the accident at the stairs. I think of the gas in the kitchen. I think of the blue pills waiting for me on the nightstand. My heart is a frantic bird hitting the cage of my ribs. I have to stay calm. I have to be the CEO again. I have to be the woman who outmaneuvered the board of directors for 20 years. I reach into my purse and touch the edge of my phone. I don't pull it out, I just need to know it's there. I watch his finger continue to tap, 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 tap. He is counting down the minutes until we are behind the iron gates of the estate. He thinks he is taking me home to finish me off. He thinks he has broken my mind with his poisons and his lies. He has no idea that the migraine is a lie. He has no idea that the woman sitting next to him is finally wide awake. I am not just fighting for my company anymore. I am fighting for my life. And as the car turns onto the long, winding drive toward the house, I realize that the predator has made one fatal mistake. He forgot who taught him how to hunt. I'm Callista Vance, 52, and I built a multi-million-dollar real estate firm from the dirt up while raising a son who I thought shared my blood and my grit. The heavy oak door of my bedroom clicks shut. I stand in the darkness, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. I hear Julian's footsteps retreating down the hallway. Each step is a heavy, rhythmic thud that vibrates through the floorboards and into the soles of my feet. He thinks I am sedated. He thinks the migraine has finally forced me into a drug-induced stupor. I watched him leave the blue pill on my nightstand before he kissed my forehead with lips as cold as a tombstone. I waited until I heard the bathroom faucet run, and then I flushed that poison into the sewers where it belongs. I wait. I stare at the digital clock on my bedside table. The red numbers glow like embers. 11:14 p.m. 11:45 p.m. 12:30 a.m. The house settles around me, groaning and sighing like a living thing. This mansion used to be my sanctuary. Now every shadow looks like a hand reaching for my throat. I listen for the sounds of the house. I hear the low hum of the HVAC system. I hear the distant, rhythmic ticking of the grandfather clock in the foyer. Tick, tick, tick. It sounds like a countdown. I move. I don't turn on the lights. I know this house by touch. I built it with the profits from my first high-rise. I chose every tile, every molding, every hidden corner. I slide out of bed, my bare feet hitting the cold hardwood floor. The chill shoots up my legs, grounding me. I am not a ghost yet. I am still here. I crack my door open. The hallway is a cavern of shifting grays. I hold my breath, listening for the sound of Julian's snoring or the light from his tablet. Nothing. The silence is absolute. I creep toward the stairs, staying close to the wall where the floorboards don't creak. My silk nightgown whispers against my skin, a sound that feels deafening in the stillness. I reach the landing of the study. This was my office for 20 years. Now it is Julian's command center. I can smell the lingering scent of his sandalwood cologne and the sharp, metallic tang of the scotch he drinks while he plots my demise. I push the door open. It glides on silent hinges. The moonlight spills through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting long, skeletal shadows across the room. I head straight for the massive mahogany desk. It sits in the center of the room like an altar. I run my fingers over the surface. It feels oily. Everything Julian touches feels contaminated. I start with the drawers. My hands are shaking, but my mind is a laser. I bypass the surface-level files, the quarterly reports, the fake medical bills, the legal briefs. I am looking for the things a predator hides. I know Julian. He is meticulous. He is arrogant. He thinks he is smarter than me, but I am the one who taught him how to keep 2 sets of books. I reach under the bottom-most drawer on the left side. My fingers find the small, recessed latch I had installed years ago for my own secrets. I feel the click. A false bottom pops upward. My breath hitches. Inside is a thick manila folder. It feels heavy, like it's filled with lead. I pull it out and lay it on the desk. I don't dare turn on a lamp. I use the pale, ghostly light of the moon to read the bold print on the cover. The Heritage Grove Sanctuary. I open it. The first thing I see are glossy brochures. They show emerald green lawns, smiling nurses in crisp whites, and high security fences disguised as decorative wrought iron. The words specialized memory care and total autonomy transfer jump off the page. These aren't just brochures for a nursing home. This is a high-security lockdown facility for the wealthy and the inconvenient. I flip the page. My stomach drops into a cold, dark abyss. It's an intake form. My name is typed at the top, Callista Vance. My date of birth. My medical history peppered with fabricated notes about early onset dementia, paranoia, and violent mood swings. I feel a surge of nausea so violent I have to lean against the desk to keep from collapsing. He has been building a case against me for months. He hasn't just been poisoning my body, he's been poisoning my reputation. Every confused moment he staged, every forgotten meeting he engineered, it was all for this document. I turn to the last page. My heart stops. The signature line for the legal guardian is already signed, Julian Vance. But it's the date that makes the blood turn to ice in my veins. The intake date is scheduled for next Monday. Monday, that's 4 days from now. He isn't just waiting for me to sign over the company. He is planning to erase my entire existence while I am still breathing. Once I am behind those decorative fences, I will be a ghost. I will be drugged into a permanent fog, my assets liquidated, my voice silenced forever. He won't have to kill me. He will just wait for me to forget who I am. I look at the brochures again. A place to forget, one tagline reads. I feel a primal, guttural scream building in my chest, but I choke it back. I can't afford a scream, I need a plan. My eyes burn with tears of pure, unadulterated rage. This is the boy I held when he had the flu. This is the man I gave everything to. And he is counting down the hours until he can lock me in a cage and throw away the key. I realize now why he was so frustrated at the bank. Monday is his deadline. He needs my signature on the power of attorney before he can move me. If I don't sign, the sanctuary won't take me. I look at the folders, the intake forms, and the forged medical reports. My hands stop shaking. A cold, crystalline clarity settles over me. Julian thinks he is the hunter. He thinks he has cornered a wounded animal. He has no idea that he has just handed me the map to his own destruction. I carefully replace the folder in the false bottom. I click the latch back into place. I smooth the rug. I move like a shadow back toward the door. As I pass the grandfather clock, the rhythmic ticking no longer sounds like a countdown. It sounds like a heartbeat. My heartbeat. I am Callista Vance. I built this empire stone by stone. And if Julian wants to play the game of disappearances, I am going to show him exactly how it's done. Monday isn't the day I go away. Monday is the day he loses everything. I slip back into my room and close the door. I lie down on the bed, staring at the ceiling. I don't sleep. I don't blink. I wait for the sun to rise, the fire of my fury keeping me warmer than any blanket ever could. The war has begun. I'm Callista Vance, 52, and I built a multi-million-dollar real estate firm from the dirt up while raising a son who I thought shared my blood and my grit. The sun bleeds through the heavy velvet curtains of the dining room, casting long, jagged streaks of gold across the mahogany table. I sit perfectly still. My spine is a frozen rod of iron. My hands are tucked beneath the table, clenched so tightly my nails are biting into my palms. I need the pain. I need it to keep me anchored, to keep me from screaming as I look at the man sitting across from me. Julian looks radiant. He is wearing a crisp, tailored navy suit, the one I bought him for his 30th birthday. He looks like the perfect son. He looks like a success. He looks like a murderer in waiting. You look tired, mother, he says. His voice is smooth, like honey poured over broken glass. He doesn't look up from his tablet. He is scrolling through the morning markets, his thumb flicking with a casual arrogance that makes my stomach churn. I wonder if he's looking at my stock prices. I wonder if he's already calculating how much my accidental demise will net him by noon. I didn't sleep well, I managed to say. My voice sounds thin. It sounds brittle. I hate how well I am playing this role. I want to roar. I want to flip this table and wrap my hands around his throat until he tells me why he hates me enough to erase me. But I can't. Not yet. I am the CEO. I am the architect. I am the woman who built the skyline of this city, and I will not be toppled by a boy I once taught to tie his shoes. The migraines, he says, finally looking up. His eyes are wide, swimming with a forced, oily concern. He reaches for the crystal carafe in the center of the table. He pours a glass of orange juice. The liquid is bright, cheerful, and utterly terrifying. He slides the glass toward me. The base of the crystal scritches against the wood, a sound that sets my teeth on edge. Drink this, he says. The vitamin C will help with the fog. You need to be sharp for our meeting with the lawyers this afternoon. I look down at the glass. My vision narrows. My heart leaps into my throat, a frantic, thudding weight that threatens to choke me. I see it. It's subtle. To anyone else, it would look like pulp. But I know the texture of the powders he's been using. At the very bottom of the glass, swirling in the dregs of the juice, is a faint, chalky residue. It's a white silt that carries the promise of a long, slow sleep. My pulse is a hammer against my ribs. I can feel the heat rising in my neck. He is watching me. He is waiting for me to take the bait. He is waiting for the poison to dull my senses so he can lead me to the bank like a lamb to the slaughter. Thank you, Julian, I whisper. I reach out. My fingers are trembling. I don't hide it. I let the tremor show. I want him to see a weak woman. I want him to feel the thrill of his impending victory. I wrap my hand around the cold glass. The condensation feels like ice against my skin. I lift it toward my lips. I can smell the sharp citrus, but beneath it there is a chemical tang, a metallic ghost of the blue pills I flushed last night. I bring the rim to my mouth. I let the liquid touch my upper lip. I don't swallow. I hold the poison in the cage of my teeth. Then I make my move. I feign a sudden, violent, dizzy spell. I let my head lurch to the side. My elbow accidentally clips the edge of the glass. It tips. The sound of the glass hitting the table is like a gunshot in the silent room. The orange juice explodes across the pristine white linen tablecloth. It doesn't look like juice. Against the stark, bleached fabric, the liquid spreads in a jagged, irregular blossom of deep, sickly amber. It looks like a fresh blood stain. It looks like a crime scene. Oh, I gasp, pulling my hand back. Oh, Julian, I'm so sorry, my hands, they just gave out. I look up at him, my eyes wide and watery, the picture of a pathetic, failing old woman. For a heartbeat, the mask slips. Julian doesn't move to help. He doesn't grab a napkin. He doesn't ask if I'm okay. His face contorts. His brow furrows into a deep, dark V, and his lips curl back from his teeth in a snarl of pure, unadulterated rage. It is the face of a man who has just seen months of careful planning spilled across a tablecloth. His eyes are black pits of hatred. In that split second, I don't see my son. I see a predator whose prey just escaped the trap. He wants to hit me. I can see the muscles in his jaw ticking. I can see his knuckles turning white where they grip the edge of the table. It's fine, he says, his voice low and vibrating with suppressed fury. He stands up abruptly. The chair screeches against the floor. He doesn't look at the mess. He doesn't look at me. He stalks out of the room, his footsteps heavy and violent against the hardwood. I sit in the silence, watching the orange liquid soak deeper into the linen. It's dripping off the edge of the table now, hitting the floor with a steady, rhythmic splat. Drip, splat, drip, splat. The clock is ticking. I look at my watch. 8:15 a.m. Julian will be back. He will regroup. He will find another way to dose me, or he will simply drop the pretense of the accidents and use force. I saw the look in his eyes. The time for subtlety is over. He is desperate now. And a desperate man is a man who makes mistakes. I stand up. I don't feel weak anymore. The fog is gone, replaced by a cold, crystalline fury that burns in my veins like liquid nitrogen. I have until the sun sets to dismantle the life of the man I brought into this world. He thinks he's taking me to the bank to sign away my empire. He thinks Monday is my expiration date. He's wrong. I walk toward the stairs, my head held high. I am Callista Vance. I built this house, I built that company, and I am about to build a coffin for my son's ambitions. I have to strike back before the sun sets, and I know exactly where it will hurt the most. I'm Callista Vance, 52, and I built a multi-million-dollar real estate firm from the dirt up while raising a son who I thought shared my blood and my grit. I lock the door to my master suite and lean my forehead against the cool, painted wood. My breath is coming in short, jagged bursts. I can feel the vibration of Julian's footsteps in the hallway outside. He is pacing. He is waiting. He thinks he is the one in control of the clock. I pull my burner phone from the pocket of my silk robe. My fingers are steady now, fueled by a cold, crystalline adrenaline. I dial the direct line to the bank. Martha, I whisper into the receiver. Callista, is everything all right? Her voice is a lifeline. I'm coming back, I say. I stare at my reflection in the vanity mirror. I look like a ghost of the woman I was yesterday, but behind the pale skin, my eyes are burning. I'm bringing Julian, I continue. I need the documents ready, not the ones he sent over, the ones I authorized this morning via the encrypted server. Do you have them? I have them, Callista. They are in the leather folio. He won't see them until they are right in front of you. Good, I say. We'll be there in 20 minutes. I hang up. I take a deep breath and smooth my hair. I apply a fresh layer of lipstick, a sharp, aggressive red. It feels like war paint. I pull on a tailored gray suit. It is the armor of a CEO. I look at the brochures for the sanctuary one last time before shoving them into the back of my closet. Not today, Julian. I open the bedroom door. Julian is standing right there. He startled me, but I don't let it show. He is leaning against the wall, his arms crossed. He looks like he's been waiting for an execution. Julian, I say, my voice soft and defeated. I let my shoulders slump. I let my gaze flicker to the floor. I am the finest actress in this city right now. Mother, he asks. His voice is cautious. He's looking for the fight I gave him this morning. I've been thinking, I say. I swallow hard, making sure he sees the movement of my throat. About what you said, about the fog, about the mistakes I've been making at the office. He straightens up. I see the hunger flare in his pupils. It is a dark, oily thing. I'm tired, Julian, I whisper. I'm so very tired of fighting the world. I want to rest. I want to know that everything I built is in your hands before it's too late. He moves toward me. He reaches out and takes my hands. His skin feels like a reptile's against mine. I want to recoil. I want to scream. Instead, I squeeze his fingers. Do you mean that? He asks. His voice is breathless. It's the voice of a child seeing a mountain of toys, yet he's a grown man looking at a mountain of gold. I want to go back to the bank, I say. I want to sign everything over today, the holdings, the trust, the power of attorney. I want it done so I can just sleep. The light that enters his eyes is sickening. It is a fervent, manic glow. He doesn't even try to hide the triumph. He thinks he has finally broken me. He thinks the medicine worked better than he hoped. That's the right choice, mother, he says. He kisses my forehead. The touch makes my skin crawl. I'll take care of everything. You'll never have to worry again. We walk down the stairs together. He holds my elbow, guiding me as if I am made of glass. I feel like a prisoner being led to the gallows, except I'm the one who tied the noose. The car ride is silent. The air conditioning hums. I stare out the window at the buildings I own. I see my name etched in stone on the corner of 5th and Main. Julian is humming a low, tuneless song under his breath. He is tapping his fingers on the steering wheel in time with his racing heart. He is already spending the money. He is already imagining my empty chair in the boardroom. We pull up to the bank. The grand neoclassical columns of the building loom over us. To anyone else, it's a place of commerce. To me, it's a battlefield. Ready? Julian asks. He jumps out and opens my door. He is the picture of the devoted son. A passerby smiles at us. They see a young man taking care of his aging mother. They don't see the wolf and the trap. We walk into the lobby. The air is cold and smells of floor wax and old paper. My heels click against the white marble. Clack, 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 it sounds like a countdown. My heart is thudding so hard against my ribs I'm afraid he'll hear it. I feel a bead of sweat roll down my spine. My insides are screaming. Every instinct I have is telling me to run, to scream for help, to tell the security guard that this man is trying to bury me alive. But I stay silent. I keep my face a mask of weary resignation. I see Martha. She is standing near the private glass-walled office at the back. She is holding a thick stack of documents. Her face is a professional void, but her eyes meet mine for a fraction of a second. She gives a tiny, almost imperceptible nod. Julian sees the papers. He sees the sheer volume of them. He thinks it's the legal paperwork for the transfer of my entire life. He hasn't vetted these pages. He thinks he knows what's in them because he's been managing my files for months. He thinks he's already won the game. Right this way, Mrs. Vance, Martha says. Her voice echoes in the high-ceilinged lobby. Julian grips my arm a little tighter. His fingers are digging into my bicep. He's impatient now. He's so close he can taste it. We step into the office. The heavy glass door swings shut behind us, muting the sounds of the world. It's just us. The clerk, the monster, and the woman who is about to set the world on fire. The documents are laid out on the mahogany desk. There are dozens of signature lines. There are notary seals. There are pages and pages of fine print. Julian leans over the desk. He scans the top page, the one that clearly states transfer of assets. He sees the numbers. He sees the accounts. He sees the dollar signs that represent 30 years of my blood, sweat, and tears. He looks at me, and for the first time in years, he gives me a genuine smile. It is the most terrifying thing I have ever seen. Go ahead, mother, he whispers. He hands me the pen. It is heavy. It is cold. It feels like a weapon. I look at the first page. My hand is trembling, and this time it isn't an act. This is the only chance I have to survive the monster I raised. If I miss one step, I am gone. I lower the pen to the paper. I can feel Julian's breath on my neck. He is leaning in, watching the ink meet the page. He is a predator waiting for the kill. I take a deep breath. I don't look at him. I look at the signature line. I am Callista Vance. And I am about to show my son exactly what happens when you try to steal from the woman who gave you life. I'm Callista Vance, 52, and I built a multi-million-dollar real estate firm from the dirt up while raising a son who I thought shared my blood and my grit. I feel the weight of the fountain pen in my hand. It is a heavy, cold instrument of destruction. The silver nib catches the harsh, fluorescent light of the bank office, glinting like a surgical scalpel. Julian is leaning over my shoulder so closely I can feel the heat radiating from his body. I can hear his breathing, shallow, rapid, and hungry. He smells like expensive cologne and the faint, metallic scent of desperation. He thinks he is seconds away from inheriting a kingdom. He thinks he has successfully drugged his mother into a state of compliant senility. I look down at the thick stack of documents on the mahogany desk. The top page screams irrevocable transfer of assets in a bold, authoritative font. Julian's hand is resting on the back of my chair, his fingers twitching. He is a predator waiting for the kill. He has been watching me for weeks, waiting for the medicine he slipped into my drinks to finally erode my will. He thinks the fog in my brain is thick enough to hide his betrayal. He is wrong. The fog is gone. In its place is a crystalline, freezing clarity. Go on, mother, Julian whispers. His voice is a silk-wrapped blade. Just your name at the bottom, then we can go home. You can finally rest. No more meetings, no more stress. I'll take the weight off your shoulders. I look at Martha, the bank clerk sitting across from us. Her face is a professional mask, but her eyes are screaming a warning. She knows what is in the folio I asked her to prepare in secret. She saw the bruising on my soul when I walked in here. She slides the paper closer to me. My heart is a frantic bird trapped in my rib cage. Thump, 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 thump. I can feel the pulse in my neck, a rhythmic pounding that threatens to choke me. I look at the signature line. I don't sign the top page. I flip the document over, then another, and another. Julian's breath hitches. Mother, what are you doing? The signature is on the first 3 sections. I just want to be sure, Julian, I say. My voice is raspy, thin, and perfectly performed. I sound like a woman on the verge of collapse. I want to make sure you're taken care of. I reach the middle of the stack. These are the pages Julian hasn't seen. These are the pages I drafted with my private counsel at 3 o'clock this morning while Julian was dreaming of his new life as a billionaire. I feel a surge of adrenaline so sharp it makes my fingertips tingle. I press the nib to the paper. The blue ink flows out in a smooth, dark stream. I sign my name, Callista Vance. I sign it with the same sharp, aggressive flourish I used when I closed my first $10 million deal. I don't stop. I flip to the next page and the next. Julian is grinning now. I can see the reflection of his teeth in the polished wood of the desk. He thinks he's won. He thinks he's just watched me sign over the Vance real estate empire, the penthouse, the offshore accounts, and the legacy of 3 decades of labor. But I didn't sign the trust transfer. I signed an ironclad amendment that moves every cent, every property, and every stock I own into an anonymous charitable foundation dedicated to the victims of domestic financial abuse. I signed a total divestment of Julian Vance from my will. I signed the documents that effectively make him a stranger to my fortune. Then I reach the final page. It's a digital tablet Martha slides toward me under the cover of the paper stack. One last verification, Mrs. Vance, Martha says softly. I press my thumb to the scanner. I tap the confirm button. This is the electronic filing of a permanent restraining order. It is being transmitted to the courthouse and the local precinct at the speed of light. The moment my finger leaves that screen, Julian is legally barred from coming within 500 feet of me, my home, or my office. The silence in the room is heavy. It feels like the air before a lightning strike. I set the pen down. The clack of the metal against the desk sounds like a gunshot. There, I say. I sit back and look up at my son. Julian reaches for the papers, his fingers trembling with greed. He pulls the stack toward him, his eyes scanning the lines frantically, looking for the confirmation of his power. I watch his face. It is a cinematic transformation. The smug, triumphant grin begins to melt. His brow furrows. He flips back to the middle of the stack. He reads the words charitable foundation. He reads the words immediate eviction. He reads the words disinheritance. The color drains from his face until he is the color of spoiled milk. He looks at me, and for the first time he sees me. Not the confused old woman he's been gaslighting. He sees the CEO. He sees the woman who built a skyline out of nothing. "What is this?" he stammers. His voice is high, cracking like a child's. "Mother, there's a mistake. These aren't the papers." "There is no mistake, Julian," I say. My voice is a cold, hard floor. I stand up. My legs feel strong. The medicine has worn off and the fury has taken its place. I feel a strange, cold peace wash over me. It is the feeling of a cord being cut, a heavy, rotting umbilical cord that has been strangling me for years. "I'm moving out of the house today," I tell him, "and you are being escorted out by security. You have nothing, Julian, not the car, not the accounts, not even the suit you're wearing. I bought that too." "You can't do this," he screams. He lunges toward me, his face contorting into a mask of pure rage. Martha steps back, and two plainclothes security guards who were waiting in the hallway move into the room. They are large, silent men I hired an hour ago. They step between me and the monster I raised. "I already did," I say. I pick up my designer handbag. I don't look back at him. I don't want to see the tears he's about to fake or the violence in his eyes. I walk toward the glass door. "I gave you life, Julian," I say over my shoulder. "And today, I'm taking it back." I walk out of the bank and into the bright, blinding sunlight. The air is fresh. For the first time in months, I can breathe. I am Callista Vance, and I am finally free. I'm Callista Vance, 52, and I built a multi-million-dollar real estate firm from the dirt up while raising a son who I thought shared my blood and my grit. I push open the heavy glass doors of the bank and step out onto the sidewalk. The transition from the climate-controlled silence of the lobby to the roar of the city is jarring. The afternoon sun is a white-hot eye in the sky, unforgiving and brutal. It beats down on the pavement, sending waves of heat shimmering up from the concrete. I can feel the sweat already beginning to prickle at the nape of my neck. Julian is right behind me. I can hear the heavy, rhythmic thud of his designer loafers. He is walking with the swagger of a king who has just been crowned. He thinks the documents I signed inside are his scepter. He thinks he owns the world now. I stop abruptly in the middle of the sidewalk. The crowd of pedestrians flows around us like water around a jagged rock. I turn slowly to face him. Julian almost bumps into me. He looks down at me with a grin that makes my skin crawl. It is a look of pure, unadulterated triumph. He thinks he has won the long game. He thinks he has finally broken the woman who gave him everything. "Why are we stopping, Mother?" he asks. His voice is light, airy, and dripping with a condescending pity that makes my blood boil. "We should get you home. You look tired. The sun isn't good for you in your condition." I look at him. I really look at him. I see the expensive watch I bought him for his birthday. I see the tailored suit that cost more than some people make in a year. I see the monster I fed with my own success. "Check your bank app, Julian," I say. My voice is different now. The waiver is gone. The frailty is an old skin I have discarded on the bank floor. My words are sharp, cold, and as final as a winter frost. Julian scoffs. He rolls his eyes, a habit he's had since he was 10 years old. "Mother, really, we don't need to do this here. I'll handle the transfers when we get back to the penthouse." "Check it now," I repeat. I don't move. I stand my ground, my spine a pillar of reinforced steel. He sighs, a dramatic, performative sound of annoyance. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out his phone. He's still smiling. He's thinking about the millions he believes are currently sitting in his personal account. He's thinking about the cars, the trips, and the power. He taps the screen with a flourish. I watch his face. It is a slow-motion car crash. First, the smile falters. The corners of his mouth twitch and then drop. His brow furrows in confusion. He taps the screen again, harder this time. Then the color begins to drain. It starts at his forehead and washes down his cheeks until he is the color of wet ash. He looks like a ghost. He looks like he's forgotten how to breathe. "What is this?" he whispers. His voice is a thin, reedy ghost of itself. "There's a mistake, the balance, it says 0. He looks up at me, his eyes wide and frantic. They are the eyes of a trapped animal. "Mother, something is wrong with the app. It's showing a 0 balance. All of it, my savings, my checking, even the trust account. It's all gone." He starts hitting the screen repeatedly, his thumb striking the glass with a frantic click, click, click. "It must be a system error. We have to go back inside. Martha, we need to find Martha." "There is no mistake, Julian," I say. I step closer to him, invading his personal space. I want him to feel the coldness radiating off me. "The money didn't disappear. It moved. I moved it." He freezes. His hand drops to his side, the phone still glowing with the image of his empty life. "What do you mean you moved it? You signed the transfer. I saw you." "You saw me sign an amendment," I say, my voice dropping to a low, lethal hum. "I moved every cent out of your reach before we even stepped into that office. I closed every account tied to your name. I revoked your access to the Vance estate. I even canceled the lease on your apartment this morning." Julian's face contorts. The shock is being replaced by a raw, ugly rage. His nostrils flare. His eyes turn dark and predatory. "You crazy bitch," he hisses. The mask has finally fallen off. "The loving son is dead. You can't do that. That's my money. I've spent years dealing with you, waiting for this. You owe me." "I owe you nothing," I snap. The word hits him like a physical blow. "I gave you life and you tried to poison mine. You are no longer my son. You are a stranger. And as of this moment, you are a stranger with absolutely nothing." He screams then. It is a guttural, primal sound of fury that makes people on the sidewalk stop and stare. "I'll kill you," he howls. He lunges at me, his fingers curling into claws, his face a mask of pure murderous intent. I don't move. I don't have to. From the shadows of the building's entrance, 3 large men in dark suits materialize. They move with a terrifying, silent efficiency. Before Julian's hand can even get close to my shoulder, 2 of them have grabbed his arms. They spin him around and pin his chest against the cold stone of the bank building. The 3rd man steps in front of me, a wall of solid muscle and professional indifference. Julian is struggling, kicking his legs and screaming obscenities that echo off the glass towers. He looks pathetic. He looks small. The king has been toppled before he ever sat on the throne. "Get him out of my sight," I say to the guards. I don't wait to see them drag him away. I don't want to hear his voice anymore. I turn and walk toward the black car waiting at the curb. My heels click on the pavement with a steady, rhythmic certainty. The sun is still hot, but I feel a sudden, beautiful chill. I am Callista Vance. I am alone. And for the first time in my life, I am completely, gloriously free. I'm Callista Vance, 52, and I forged a real estate empire from nothing while my own son tried to bury me alive in my own success. The evening air is crisp, carrying the scent of impending rain and expensive asphalt. I stand on the glass-walled balcony of my penthouse, 30 floors above the city I helped build. My fingers are wrapped tightly around a crystal glass of sparkling water. The condensation is cold against my palm. Below me, the street lights are beginning to flicker to life, casting long, amber shadows across the pavement. I look down. A massive white moving truck is idling at the curb. The rumble of its engine vibrates in my chest, a low, steady thrum of finality. 2 men in gray uniforms are moving with mechanical efficiency. They are hauling Julian's life out onto the sidewalk. I watch as a trunk of his Italian leather shoes is set unceremoniously on the concrete. Next comes his designer luggage, the monogrammed canvas gleaming under the street lamps. It looks like trash piled up for collection. Julian is there. He is a small, frantic figure from this height. He is pacing the length of the sidewalk, his arms flailing like a broken marionette. Even from 30 stories up, I can hear the jagged edge of his voice. He is shouting at the sky. He is screaming at the silent windows of the home he thought he had stolen from me. His face is a mask of ugly, distorted rage. He looks up, searching for me. He knows I am watching. He wants one last look of pity. He wants one last chance to manipulate the woman who birthed him. I feel a sudden, sharp chill in the breeze. I don't shiver. For months, there has been a literal weight in the center of my rib cage. It felt like a leaden stone pressing down on my lungs, making every breath a chore. I thought it was age. I thought it was the illness Julian kept whispering about. Now I realize it was him. It was the crushing pressure of his greed. It was the toxic heavy metal of his betrayal. I take a deep breath. I fill my lungs until they ache. The air is clean. The weight is gone. It lifted the moment I walked out of that bank and left him with a balance of 0. I watch a mover toss a garment bag onto the pile. It holds the tuxedo Julian wore to the gala where he told my board of directors I was failing. It hits the dirty pavement with a soft thud. Julian lunges at the mover, his hands balled into fists. The mover doesn't even flinch. He is twice Julian's size and half as entitled. He simply steps forward, and Julian cowers. My son is a predator who only knows how to hunt the weak. He has no idea how to survive in a world where he isn't protected by my signature. He is a broken man. He traded a mother's fierce, unconditional love for a shadow of wealth he will never touch. He chose the lie over the legacy. My heart rate is steady. My pulse is a calm, rhythmic beat against my throat. I remember the way he used to look at me when he was a child, with those wide, trusting eyes. I look for that boy in the man screaming on the street below. He isn't there. He was hollowed out by a hunger I didn't recognize until it was almost too late. The movers finish. They close the back of the truck with a resounding metallic bang that echoes through the canyon of buildings. They climb into the cab and pull away, leaving Julian standing alone amidst a pile of expensive leather and silk. He looks pathetic. He looks like a stranger I once knew in a different life. The city lights are brilliant now, a sea of diamonds spread out before me. They belong to me. Every brick, every lease, every hard 1 inch of this life belongs to the woman who was strong enough to survive her own blood. I take one last sip of my water. The coldness is refreshing. I look at Julian one final time. He has slumped down onto one of his suitcases. He is holding his head in his hands. The prince is sitting in the gutter. I turn away from the railing. My movements are fluid and certain. I step back inside the penthouse. The interior is silent, bathed in the soft, warm glow of recessed lighting. It is a sanctuary. I reach for the heavy glass doors. The handles are cool and solid. I pull them shut. The roar of the city, the sound of Julian's fading screams, and the ghost of my own grief are cut off instantly. The silence is absolute. It is the most beautiful thing I have ever heard. I slide the heavy deadbolt into place. Click. The sound is a period at the end of a long, agonizing sentence. I lean my forehead against the cool glass for a second. I am Callista Vance. I am alone in this vast, shimmering fortress. And for the first time in years, I am perfectly, beautifully safe. I walk across the marble floor toward the bedroom. My footsteps are light. I don't look back at the door. I don't look back at the shadow on the sidewalk. I have an empire to run tomorrow. I have a life to live. I reach for the light switch and plunge the room into a peaceful velvet darkness. I close my eyes, and for the first time in a decade, I fall into a deep, dreamless sleep.